We're back live from the Potato Expo right here in the Austin Convention Center. And as we talked about before, Austin is where it's at in the food scene. So we're thrilled to be here this year. As you can see behind me, we've got thousands of people going up and down the aisles, being educated in the Innovation Hub, and certainly right here with the eye as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about health and nutrition as it relates to potatoes, but again, going back to one of the fun facts that Tony found for us before, is that actually peasants in Europe, when potatoes just came to Europe, found that they were a far better energy source than Europe's existing staples, yielding between 2 and 4 times more than other crops that are there. And talking about health and nutrition, Dr. Julie Miller-Jones from St. Catherine University is with us. So Julie, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, great to be here, Phil. Thanks.
So I guess let me start with the overarching. What role do potatoes have in health and nutrition?
Well, for one thing, what the European peasants knew is that of all the foods that have been tested, boiled potatoes are the most satiating. But beyond that, it's not just about carbs and satiation, it's about dietary fiber, it's about potatoes having more potassium than a banana, and everybody knows about bananas and potassium. They also have B6, they have antioxidants, they have magnesium. So when people say, well, I'm cutting out potatoes because they're starchy or just carbs, they're just wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So is part of the confusion that either frying the potato or adding, gobs of butter to it and sour cream, and has that clouded the nutrition message for us?
Well, I think absolutely that's clouded it, because we're known by the friends we keep, the company we keep. Right. And so if you can't, I do love something called potatoes Anna, which is a French word. You put like a pound of butter on a potato kind of thing. But you can't eat that every day. Right. Or you can enjoy it every once in a while. But if you really look at a potato, a medium potato has 110 calories. So it's how you doctor it up that may really put it in the foods that you should eat infrequently rather than the foods you should eat frequently.
So about 20 years ago, I had met one of the original founders of the Pritikin Longevity Center.
Right.
And Dr. Bob, whatever his name is, and his son now runs it. Well, one of the things that I learned is they serve baked potatoes, but with salsa on it. Not with butter, not with sour cream, but just fresh salsa. And to this day, that's the way I love a baked potato, because you're not adding all that fat and everything else to it. So,
and I'll just add to that, you're adding other vegetables that people need.
Right.
So not only does the potato give you half the vitamin C, now you've put in peppers and tomatoes, other things that will give you the rest of the vitamin C that you need. And so, and gives you the vegetables that we aren't eating. And I think a lot of people think that potatoes aren't good for you because the epidemiological studies will show that the meat and potato pattern increased risk.
Right.
But you could equally say that the meat and potato pattern should be called, these people ain't never seen a vegetable other than a potato, and
usually French fries.
And so that it unfairly castigates a potato when it shouldn't, because it's really their bad diet that's really the problem.
So how do we get that message out there? I know Potatoes USA is doing a big push on potatoes and performance for athletes. And we were talking earlier, I was talking to John, who said that now at a lot of marathons, they actually have like big bowls of mashed potatoes with high levels of sodium to help the marathoners and so on. But how do we get this message out to the general public that talks about, the nutrients of potatoes and how to consume it versus either just by loading it with sour cream or butter or frying it?
Well, I hope that people like you can help do that, because that's
we're trying.
But just to really talk about that we aren't eating enough vegetables. No, only fewer than 1 in 10 people in the United States eat the number of vegetables that we should, and we can count potatoes
and we're
as
trying
a vegetable.
we're trying to do 5 a day.
Right.
And I think it's 3.2 servings a day that the average American has.
Right. So we're really and a lot of people don't eat that.
Right.
So we're really need to up the vegetables, and and fruit, and we want to really convince people that when they take away something from their diet, they're losing something that we need. And the potassium, for instance, the Dietary Guidelines Committee has named potassium as a nutrient
Right.
of concern. And most of the people in the United States don't get enough potassium. And if we had enough potassium, much of the concerns about sodium would be eliminated.
Right.
And
It's
so
that
if we could have
balance, yeah.
more vegetables, which are potassium containing, almost all of them are, and that gives you lots of flavor, so you need less salt, and then we would be solving that potassium-sodium imbalance that exists in our diet.
And maybe you can help me understand something, both in the media, as well as talking to consumers. The misnomer is, and I can't figure this out, that it's too expensive to eat more fruits and vegetables. And I look at the comparison between whether it's packaged foods or proteins and whatever. Produce is less expensive.
Well, especially if you choose what's in season.
Yeah, exactly.
And we do the potatoes and the sweet potatoes and the cabbage and the carrot. None of those are expensive.
Right.
If you want to have asparagus in March, maybe that
and in March, asparagus has less nutrients and less flavor.
That's right.
So, one of the things that I always talk about to retailers is I think that we can raise consumption if retailers would only sell produce that's in season. It tastes better, it's cheaper, has more nutrients.
It fits the farm to table that everybody's trying to do.
Right. So if I look at other times of the year, strawberries are a perfect example, and maybe that's a bad example now because Driscoll's is growing year-round. But a cantaloupe out of season is tasteless.
Like a hockey puck.
Yeah, it's just tasteless. It's crunchy. It has no flavor. So I think that if we could get back to eating fruits and vegetables that are in season, it'll be more satisfying to consumers, be less expensive, and we all win. But the retailers say to me, but consumers want 2-inch high red tasteless strawberries, 12 months a year. So I'm going to stock them. And the average produce department now has about 600 SKUs, and people still are consuming, the same 10, apples and oranges and so on. And shame on us.
Yeah, and it's not because the food magazines aren't talking about how alluring these things are, or rediscovering root vegetables might be. There's all kinds of articles like that. It's just somehow we aren't penetrating, and we need to really figure out why that is.
It is. So you and I have to huddle after the Potato Expo, figure it out, and change the world.
All right, I'm on for that.
Okay, so Julie, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be back. And don't forget, if you're here at the Potato Expo, behind me, you can see the crowds of people. They're sitting there at the Innovation Hub. So every 20 minutes, think of it as a TED Talk. We have different experts up there talking about soil health, talking about potato health, talking about nutrition, all these factors. So make sure you stop by, and at 5 o'clock, and Julie, I hope you're going to join us at 5 o'clock. We've got the Spud Nation Throwdown. So 3 Austin-based chefs are going to be here competing to who wins the top spud of the year.
Top spud, whoa.
And it's very cool. And what they get, I don't know if you're a fan of wrestling, but you see the pictures of these wrestling winners that get these big gold belts.
Yes, okay.
So that's what we give the top spud.
Does it have a potato on it?
Yes, it does. So you're going to have to join us.
Okay.
And then after that, we have cocktails. And at 3 o'clock at Potatoes USA right here, they've got potato beer.
Potato beer. I guess if it's carbohydrate and you add some hops, it can ferment.
Exactly. So 3 o'clock. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.